Thanks, Vanessa. Well, spring is a busy time for the housing market, and a new market report shows the renters market is getting tighter and sales in Westchester County are looking up. So what's behind all of these changes? Here to break down the latest market report, president of real estate company Douglas Elliman, Stephen James, is here to join us.
Good morning.
Maybe you can start by taking us through the latest trends. We could focus on Queens, Brooklyn,
Great.
Manhattan.
Yes, you know, the Manhattan renter is having a tough time right now because that market is really tightening up. Less vacancy rates, higher prices, less landlord concessions, meaning if you rent my property, I'll give you a month free. No, we're not seeing that anymore. And I think there's a reason for that.
What is that reason?
It's the consumer who normally would be purchasing doesn't want to pay the prices, and so their alternative is to rent. And so they're camping out. They're waiting and watching and seeing.
And does that also mean, is it spring? Is it summertime? Is that one of the reasons they don't need to add those extra concessions?
Pretty much, but I think it's more of the fact that you have a big pool of consumers that are willing to rent and pay the prices, so you don't have to offer a concession.
So what would the advice then be to people looking to rent?
Well, do your homework and going on the internet and looking and seeing the properties and the neighborhoods and the buildings and looking what the trends are and what things are going for. Being educated will give you an advantage.
So you mentioned trends. What are those trends in the boroughs?
Well, certainly in sales, the trend is higher inventory, less number of sales, but interestingly enough, you're still seeing a slight rise in prices because everyone really wants to buy, but it's not easy for everyone to buy. And more importantly, I think the sellers are still adjusting to wanting and agreeing to reduce their price.
And so what would be the reason behind that?
Well, I think for certainly the last, 10 or 15 years, that market has gone up, 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 and up. And you can't sustain that, and the consumer knows that. And probably about 24 months ago, the consumer said, I'm not doing it anymore. And the seller said, but I want you to do that. And so there's this standoff, and that's what you're seeing in this data, is a bit of a standoff. But the good news is the sellers are coming around. And
what goes up must come down.
Yes.
But what about Westchester? There's something unique happening there.
Yes.
Well, it looks healthy?
Yes, very healthy. And that's a bit of a surprise because we thought that the Westchester market would really be influenced in the change in the tax law. And quite frankly, that's not the case. In single-family sales, in co-ops, in condos, in 2 to 4 family sales in Westchester, all the number of sales went up, and in some cases, the prices went up. And that's not what the prediction was. Now, to be cautionary, I would say maybe it's a little too early to tell because April the 15th is the big day of paying your taxes.
Yes.
To see whether those high taxes in Westchester were worth it.
Okay, so is that the place to be then? Are you expecting a surge of people that'll be looking, especially now that the weather is nicer?
I think so. It's a nice time to be out. And it's a nice time to look because you can find good value out there.
Well, if you could fill us in on any final advice for those people that are looking to rent, looking to buy.
Do your homework. Homework, homework, homework. Be prepared. If you're looking to rent, make sure you have the money in the bank to do that. If you're looking to buy, make sure you have the money in the bank to put the down payment down, and make sure that you've spoken to a banker so that you know what your financial circumstances are.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Stephen James, for being here. A lot of great advice for those people on the search.